I am so good. I'm so
Uh-oh,
good.
it's Pastor on
Yeah,
the
yeah. Look. Look.
screen.
I've always wanted to be a talk show host.
Welcome to
Thank
your
you.
platform,
Thank you so
sir.
much. Thank you
Now
so
look, we
much.
both have on reddish color
Well, that's
shirts.
right. We do. Yeah,
See,
we
I'm not
are.
gonna say we planned that because our guest for the day is gonna feel some type of way that he wasn't invited to wear a red shirt. And because we had a prep meeting that he didn't come to, we planned this.
He will think that it was all a setup, so then he wouldn't look like he belonged. Yes, I got
Right.
it.
I've had some microphone issues, and so that's why I'm back to my trusty headset.
Got it.
Uh,
Got it.
you know, Reverend Rob had me go and get this fancy little mic that only worked for
Okay.
2 months. So, he may have comments about my headset, but I got to do what I got to do.
Got to do
We're
what we got to
running late.
do. Got
Got
to
to
do
do
what
what
we
we
got
got.
to
How
do.
are you, Pastor?
I am doing well. It's been a week, right? With everything in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and
Mhm.
and then the shooting, the
Mhm.
protesters after that. It's just a lot. You think you get a moment to just kind of breathe. I'm just trying to catch my breath from George and Aubrey and Brianna, and still the injustice. The justice has not been done for Brianna, and nothing. And so
Yeah.
I'm just catching my breath and moving in, and then here's something else.
Yes.
So
Yes.
just
Here's
kind of
something else.
here is something else. So
Right.
so it's a lot. It's a lot. It's feeling, and I was sharing with some folks earlier that part of the struggle for me right now is as a pastor and as a social justice advocate and as an anti-racist activist who tries to hold hope and show up in hope,
Okay. Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
invite people into possibilities, and people aren't inherently evil, and no, we've got to listen and give people a chance. And I'm like, burn this shit down. I mean, I'm like, like the people ain't listening. Like, what
They
in the
don't listen.
world is going
Right.
on? So,
Right.
so the
Right.
so the energy, the tension to get people to stay in hope, and to not just give up. It's challenging at the moment. It's challenging at the
Hmm.
moment. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
but I still know, there's a brighter day. But it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of work. It's a lot of work right now. It takes a lot of, you got to pull on that reserve right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes. That reserve. That's what we need right now.
yeah.
Right. So, um, definitely. So you talked about the in Kenosha, and then the NBA. Like,
Yep.
wow. Right. Right.
Yep.
Like they just refuse to come out. The Magics were Orlando's team. This is where I'm about to get called out for sports, but I know it
Mhm.
was Orlando's team or Miami Heat. That's who it was. Miami Heat. They were warming up on the court, and then Milwaukee just refused to come out of the locker room.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. And what a stance. And
Yep.
then we have
Yep.
had the RNC convention going on this week.
I was going to say, is there any way for me to blank the camera so you all can't see my face? I can't. I cannot. I can't.
Right.
We trying
Yeah,
to be.
yeah.
We're trying to be bipartisan in this conversation. We ain't trying to.
Right. Right. So
I'm.
it happened, right? So
It
we talked
happened.
about DNC happening last week.
Right. It happened.
The RNC National Convention happened. It happened.
And all I'm saying, it's on YouTube. You go look for it. Look at it. Just look at
Right,
it
you can look at it,
yourself.
right?
Just look
You
at
can go to Trevor Noah's page and listen to his commentary about it.
it. That's right.
That's been
That's right.
brilliant.
That's right. Just do that. Just do that.
Just do
Make your
that.
own
Just do that.
decisions. Just
That's right.
do it. Make
That's
your own
right.
decisions.
That's
That's right.
right.
We just want people to be informed. That's all.
That's
Be
it.
informed.
That's
That's
it.
right. Exactly.
So, well, I'm super excited about tonight, and I'm super excited to be sharing this conversation with
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And so, do you want to frame us up for
Sure.
bringing on our guest?
I will frame us up. And, as I do that, I just want us to hold the power of this date. of August 28th. And there, if you've not seen the Ava DuVernay special on August 28th, it talks about the March on Washington and talks about the murder of Emmett Till and talks about the nomination of President Obama, accepting the Democratic nomination, and the devastation of Katrina. I was looking at the special, and it was powerful for me because it is the weekend after the Katrina that I met Sam.
Oh, okay, okay.
And
I didn't have those connected.
Yeah, we'll tell that story in another session. But there's some real, so all kinds of significant things happen in that time. But I'm also excited about this August 28th. It's my best friend Vernon Wall's birthday, so happy birthday to him.
Oh, happy birthday, Vernon.
Yes, exactly. And we get to have a conversation with the man.
Yes.
The man that many of us have known and have loved, that many folks really just kind of know the image of. They don't really know who he is, right? And so as we were entering this Men's Month, and we were looking at our theme, hope, love, and action. And that is exactly what I experience this brother as, is hope, love, and action. I wanted to, he's had a powerful journey. And so I figured, we haven't done necessarily a highlight or a feature of our leadership. And specifically, we certainly have had Mother Emily, and we've had the First Gentleman, and we talking about the journeys in that way. And so I wanted to give an opportunity, particularly as Reverend Rob, some of you know, is moving and making transitions and making things happen in his life. And he has been doing that since his time in Philadelphia and since the time he left Philadelphia. And so we thought about, how about doing something that gives people an opportunity to be a part of, to hear from, to engage with the man.
Yeah.
From Philadelphia to Alabama. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. He is normally in this seat, so ain't no telling what's going to happen with him as he comes forward. But I am honored and delighted and pleased and excited to sit here alongside of you to bring him forward. So.
Absolutely. So we're going to invite our, so to be fully transparent, he's running the background tonight. So, right? So talking about transitioning, talking. Right. So Reverend Rob, why don't you come on in the room?
Come on in the room.
He changed his shirt.
Did you really think I heard all of this saying that they were like? I was like, oh, so she's trying to be funny, like she thinks because I had on a crush shirt, which I was crushing things, and then she was like, oh, he probably gonna feel some kind of way. Let me take care of that right now. I'll just change my shirt real quick.
I got a red shirt.
I do. Right? Red is my favorite color.
So,
yep. I got tons of red and articles and things I can throw on real quick.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Well, hello, sir.
Hello.
We talked about that last week, speaking multiple times. So, full disclaimer. So everybody know that Sean is my big brother. And so I do have my little snot rag right here, just in case we get emotional. I'm nothing but a big old baby. So, I just let y'all know it's right there.
Very good. Very good.
I wasn't sure whether that was a snot rag or a sweat rag. I wasn't sure.
It's gonna serve both purposes because these hot lights on me right now, and my water in my cup is helping me stay hydrated.
Very good. So make sure you continue to have your water. Very good. Very good.
Do you like my cup? I got it out just for you.
Here's a cat cup.
I love it. Oh, you know what? When you said that, I thought you were talking about Pastor. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Oh, that's for you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was having audio issues and
because I don't know what's going on with that headset you got on. That's kind of crazy.
Well, the microphone that you recommended that I buy is not working today, right?
I think you should call Amazon and tell them that you want a replacement.
Absolutely. I didn't have enough time today. That's going to be on the agenda.
I hear you.
So from Philadelphia to Alabama. Hi, Mom. Let's
say hey to some folks. Yeah,
that's right. So yes, Mom, it's going to be an emotional night right here with you.
Yes.
So Loretta, hey, Gigi.
Yes.
Minister Donnell. So
Yeah.
Jeff Harris, pastor, said that you were talking about meeting Sam on the 28th. So he said that sounds juicy.
That does sound juicy. I got a little bit of that information, but not the big picture.
The big picture. Hey, Pastor Pendermont, we love you. Hey, Keith, we love you. All right. So
you want me to kick us off?
Kick us off, Pastor.
Well, thank you. And so honored. We love you so much, right? So, and wanted to just invite, we'll go, we'll follow kind of the format that we normally follow. And I follow Carla's lead because I'm just glad to be in the seat as a guest anchor or host. It's all exciting. So I want you to just talk a little bit. I want to just kind of start with, so in Philly boy, there's my Philly boy, right? Sharing that same hometown thing. Tell us a little bit about your growing up. Some folks know you've got siblings. Some folks know that you're a huge Ravens fan.
It's a bird.
It's a bird. I get them mixed up. So why don't you just go ahead and start with?
He can't find nothing Eagles fast enough.
Did you just say Ravens? Are you kidding me?
Let's just start with Philadelphia and how it all started. So just give us a little bit.
Yeah, it was 30 years ago, August 12th. I was sharing with someone today. I'm still shocked on how quick 30 years, or it seemed quick, but we all know 30 years is a long time. But August 12th of 1990, I was in motion to Washington, D.C. So I grew up in Philadelphia, West Philly to be exact, off of 53rd Street, which is one block off of 52nd Street, which is a well-known stop on the L.
On the L.
Which is
for the L. That's right.
Ground. For all those that know anything about the L, shout out, put it on, because there's not a lot of locations that have an L. Yeah, like I grew up in the city. I grew up in what people would consider to probably be the hood. I had a strong sense of family. I was very close to my brothers at the time. My mom was always working. She was a single mom for many years, and just going through the process of being able, right? And so went to Catholic school. Then decided to I didn't want to pursue. I don't know if that was my choice or my mom's choice, or in terms of being able to provide, right? So I think I went to a middle school, and then I went to Dobbins, which was a technical school, which is where I really learned my or was able to determine what my passion in technology was. So, and then one day I wanted a hooky class, and I decided to step into a room that was to get away from what I was supposed to be doing. And they were giving a test for entry test into this agency that I currently work for. And I actually did very well on the test. It still shocks me today. And the results came in and the application came in. I never filled out the application. My mother actually filled out the application. She submitted it. I had no intentions of going to any other place other than college. There were two things that I wanted to do. I wanted to go to college. I took a lot of college credits, and I wanted to be a police officer. So two things that I was clear that I was going to do. And next thing I know, I got an invite to start entry of duty date letter saying that I was supposed to report on August 12th of 1990. And my mom, pretty much facilitated it all. She went to Kmart. I'm sure you all know about Kmart and the layaway system. And I know a lot of people probably would say, well, how do you remember this? And it was, I don't know, it's embedded in my head. I had a trunk. And what she did was I had 5 pair of pants, 5 shirts, 3 ties, 2 pairs of shoes, which was brown and black, 2 belts, brown and black, underwears, 5 pair, undershirts, 5 pair, and socks. That was all that was in the trunk. And that's what we moved. She shipped me up to DC and she rented a room for me. It was $300 a month. It was off of 17th Street and in DC. And I rented a room and behind, we rented it was an add-on. So I only stayed there for 3 months because of the weather at the time. But once the weather broke, I had to relocate to another rented a room. I rented a room from another person, a sibling from the person I was renting from at the time. And so that's how I got to DC. That's kind of how it happened. And I remember that trunk. It was brown and had gold outlining or brass. I'm sure it wasn't gold, but I remember that trunk and what exactly was in it to get me started. And so I hold true to that trunk, and I always think about it. And I think about the sacrifice that my mom made and my brothers, because we all, it just happened so fast. I was, again, I had no intentions of working so soon. My goal was to go to college. Even though I didn't fill out no college application, I did take the SAT, so there was options. But my mom pretty much facilitated the whole thing. I can't say I had any hand in that.
Wow.
Very powerful.
Other than the desire to say I'll go.
Wow.
She was very adamant to get me out of the city. So I love that about her. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am today if you had not been strong enough to send me on. That's how it worked.
Very powerful.
Very
powerful.
Wow. Good stuff. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom Gloria. She's in feed right now. Yeah. So sacrifice. Wow. And so, so now looking back, Rob, how has that sacrifice prepared you for this next journey or venture?
I think I would name that while 30 years ago, I didn't know what I know now. And so I have that experience along with everything else that I have experienced, everything I've learned, all the mistakes I've made, all the successes I've had. And it has been it's contributed to me believing that I would be successful in anything that I do. I have been in war zones. I have been in situations that have been unsafe. So accepting a job in Alabama had to do more with how can I position myself to level up higher than where I am now. And so while I took a huge sacrifice 30 years ago, because the truth is I was very close to my brother, right? And I know that and at the time, this is so real talk. Oh my God. Okay. So at the time, I didn't know what separation anxiety or abandonment issues or how all that stuff, 30 years ago, I had no clue on what I was feeling, nor did I know how that would impact my family. Right. And so it was a huge impact on my brothers and my mother, whether they may own it or not. I can see now with some of my therapy how my separation impacted our family dynamics. And so I have a lot of more tools now than I did before to figure a way to stay engaged. And so that experience has taught me and has been a contributing factor in me making a decision on moving to Alabama.
Sure. Very powerful. I didn't know then what I know now, right? That I've learned a lot. The journey has been very powerful and informing. I know that a number of folks are in the chat saying, "Is he moving to Alabama? He's moving to Alabama? What? He's going to Alabama?" And so we know that for some of you tonight, this is new news. It's breaking stories, right? And
Which is a good thing.
look, you heard it here first, right? On Turn It Up, Refuel, we had the breaking news for you to hear it here first. I want you to talk a little bit about Mom set you up to come here. to come to the DC area, and you've traveled the world, Sean. You've lived, you've worked in all kind of places. You've named kind of working in war zones, being in war zones, and so on. And why don't you just talk a little bit, the extent to which you can, right? Talk a little bit about. So I arrive here, the early days, what that was like, and then some of the things you learned over these 30 years. So I arrive here, and what, right? With my 5, 5, and 5, right? So that'll preach all day. You got a 5, 5, and 5, right? The slacks and trust me, I know. And you went with 2 more than I went with. I had 3, 3, and 3, right? Including underwear, right? And so we had to do a lot of laundry, right? But yes, 5, 5, and 5. So I arrive here, and what?
I think the biggest dynamic that shocked me, I had never worked so I moved into a heavy white male dynamic agency. And I think that the shock was that I have never worked or been engaged with racism. I had never been involved in the actual, like, we've read about it and people have talked about it, and we know that it's in our DNA. You and I talked about that this week. But I never was on the side of experiencing that. I didn't have any guidance in terms of what to do next. I didn't know. Everything that I did was I had to figure it out. And I feel even 30 years later, I'm still doing that. I arrived in an age, so there was some moments of awe, and then there was some moments of doubt, and then there was some moments of, I am just going to stand still. I don't know what the hell is going on. I didn't know the people that I was living with. I wasn't comfortable in the environment that I was working in because there were so many white people, and they were saying so many crazy things. This is real talking, and I'm not naming white people to be anything bad. It's just that the dynamic that was going on was a little uncomfortable. At 17 years old, having to endure situations where you're responsible for producing work that is contingent on results, dealing with drastic measures in terms of, for instance, I remember the Waco incident happened. Well, I was still young then, right? And there's this killing and this bombing, and here I'm immersed in it. And I'm 17 talking about I don't know nothing about this. And there's white people being killed and everybody's cursing and carrying on. So I had to take all of that in, right? And it was just a lot going on at the time. And what I did do is I aligned myself with Black women that were older in our agency. Okay, so there wasn't a lot of Black men that I saw or was in leadership at the time. So I aligned myself with Black women that had been in the agency for a long time, that knew the ropes, and they kind of the Peggy Martins and the Cecile Orrs, those people that have been in for a long time. And I began to learn how to maneuver and navigate all of the stuff. That was the business side. That was my career side. But
shout out to Cecile. Cecilia, she's in the chat right now.
Yeah. Shout out to Cecile. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I did not. The personal side is, how do I develop friendship? I come from a city where your family is your friends. There's not a lot of friends that you have outside, because your loyalty, your dynamic, everything that you do is with your family. My brothers, and again, we went to the same school, we traveled together, we were just close, in my view. And I had to figure out who to trust. I didn't know nobody, which plays on the male dynamic, specifically around Black men. I have to figure out who to trust. And I got evicted from my apartment because I trusted my friend at the time. I was paying my rent and he wasn't paying the rent. We were roommates, and his name was Ronald Trainum, and we were good. We were good friends, and I believe at that moment was the disconnect of how I see and view men in terms of trusting people. I have already had an experience with Black women, so I trusted that, but I believe that that's where my disconnect came from, and why I began to work on a spiral in terms of trusting specifically Black men. So that was kind of my first couple years in the DC area. It was challenging. I had to figure out a lot. My brothers and my mom and everybody was like, "Oh, I come visit you," but it was like maybe that didn't happen. Everybody else, people went. I'm sure you remember. You know how that is when you move to another city and people just didn't get to. They go on with their lives, and so I had to figure out a way to cultivate a family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. Thank you. I want to shift to, so Angela posted in here, please share the grounding experience professionally that you still carry with you. That's one. Do you want me to give you all of them, or just that's one? You can see it, so I'm not sure how you want to answer the question.
So I think that I gotta go back to the struggle on being a Black man in a white dominant agency. Like there's a fight, there's a shift. Like grounding me was honestly about the church.
Okay.
I think that had I not unity, so Inner Light Ministry, what is it called? Inner Light Fellowship Church. I don't remember what the name of it was. I just know it was Inner Light. That's all I called it. I think when I found Inner Light, because I had not been to church the first 6 years of me moving here. So you got to remember, I come from a Catholic environment. So 1 hour service. You go. If you don't have to. You come. You do whatever. You go to confirmation. I'm sorry. You go to profession, right? And you keep it moving. So I had not been to church for 6 years, and so I just so happened had. It's so funny Angela asked that question because I have to contribute a lot of that to Angela, because Angela took me to my first party that had people there that was of different orientations. And that led me to go to a skating rink where I met Keith, and Keith then said, come on and participate in this leadership forum in Virginia, volunteer. And that's where I heard Bishop Cheeks at. And I was sitting there at the visitor station, just helping and excited about being in the mix with all these people. And I'm not, they all happy and everything. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cute, being cute people and running around. And I was just in awe. And I heard this man just talk about, well, everybody's always looking for God up there and down here. And we heard it. And I was like, who is that talking? And I went to the conference room, and it was this huge room with all these people in African garb. Now, again, I'm from Philadelphia. Anything African was like you ain't never seen any garb. I didn't know what African colors were. I knew the continent of Africa, but I ain't know anything about the garb. I didn't know it's so interesting how we get into our pockets and we just don't know what's going on with the rest of the world. I had no clue. And I was just like, all these beautiful colors and these beautiful people. And it was the bishop up there. And I was like, you know what? And I was listening to what he's preaching. He was just, it was just stuff I've never heard before. And like how God is in us and how God will, we could talk to God any kind of way we want and share what we really need. And there's no diagram or no structured prayer that you have to have. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm digging that. And so I ended up joining our church. And I think that is what grounded me to get me through those next years. It was tough. It was tough. I knew I was talented. I knew that I was gifted. What I did not know was how to navigate the shit. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to do that. It was smacking me in the face. I mean, how to get promoted, how to, who to smooth, who to smile at, what not to look like, it was just so much at 17, 18, 19, 20 that I had to endure that I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I would not want anyone of a young age, a teen, to go into an environment that could potentially shift them to a place of danger. I think that had I not had positive influences around me, I'm not quite sure if I would have made it 30 years. If I didn't have Inner Light, Unity Fellowship Church Movement, I don't think I would have made it 30 years. If I didn't have my mom, Harris Thomas, Jamie Washington, Carla Johnson, Angela Renee, Chorus, Keith Rump, I wouldn't have made it 30 years. I just wouldn't have.
Very powerful.
Wow.
You know, as I listen to you, and I've heard this so much, and sometimes folks don't understand the role that the church or whatever your ministry, but particularly in the Black community, the church has played in navigating racism, systemic racism, and how even if we didn't go back to work knowing what to say, knowing how to engage it, the church just gave us the space of release, community, support, so that we can show up and go another week.
That is so true.
That we can just show up and go another week. Yeah, I tease sometimes. I was in a session and I told there was a white guy who was in the session. He asked, well, I don't understand why Black people are so religious. Why they go to church so much? And I said, well, we go to church on Sunday so we don't kill y'all on Monday.
That's the truth. No, that is the truth. Again, there are times I got off a plane on Saturday night so late, and I had to go to church on Sunday because that was the only way that I felt like the anger that was in me would get released. I've gone to work angry a lot of times.
Yeah.
I've gone to work, you know, if I fly 13 hours to support an effort and then the person in the office takes their handbag and lock it up because they think that I'm going to steal or relocate some items out of their purse. Get this. Mind you, I have the same clearance you do, but this is your action. And this is the impact.
That's right.
The other piece is naming it, bringing it to the attention, and then nothing happens. Because what happens is then I don't trust the system, or it impacts me, with the trauma impacts me, and then there's no resolve, or I have to walk around holding. And at the time, I had no clue. Again, I want people to picture this. 19 at the time, dealing with systematic racist situations.
This was in the early 60s.
This is
I couldn't let it go.
This was in the early 90s.
Okay.
You know, trying to figure out where you fit in, and then having to endure all that stuff, like people talking to you any kind of way, thinking that you're less than, not respecting your space, your talent, your gifts. It was tough, overlooking you, measuring up. It was just a lot. And like if I didn't meet Bishop Cheeks, obviously there's a chain of reaction, but Bishop Cheeks, Harris Thomas, all of those got me to Baltimore.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. We're talking a lot about the journey, and particularly on this day, August 28th, and as we remember Emmett Till today, and the ways that systemic racism continues to plague, and that we certainly are, given our journeys and resources and experiences, we get to show up with some more capacity. We've got our ministry, we've got our church families, we've got our friends, and so many folks don't. So many folks don't have those things. And so what I want to invite us into as we continue, and when I said to the gentleman, we go to church on Sunday so we don't kill y'all on Monday, I didn't literally mean kill you, but I did mean so we could deal with you and not take you out, right? And I tell the story sometime about 20 minutes later, he was just so taken back by that comment. He just yelled out, "Do you want to kill me?"
Right. Yeah.
And I said, well, No, because I went to church yesterday.
Right.
So I got some of that out of me. But the message is that we have to find some place to release some of this stuff so that we can be in community and so that we can show up and navigate the stuff that we are continuing to deal with. And so the importance of the ministry for you is what you began to talk about. And as you talked about meeting Bishop Cheeks and then Harris Thomas, and then being a part of that leadership that helped Baltimore to get going as it did, what has Unity Fellowship Church movement been for you?
I mean, it's been a place of refuge. It's been a place of teaching. So as you know, specifically Baltimore, Unity Fellowship Church of Baltimore has been a place of a safe space to grow. You know, I have to name that. I have grown a lot being under leadership, your leadership, Harris Thomas leadership. I've learned anything, even Anthony McCarthy, Sam Alford, Carla Johnson. I've learned a lot. Ken Tennant, like any, Nadine Raw, Tanya Ross. Like I've learned a lot of, Marissa Pendeman. Like I have learned every time I get into company of these great people that I've named. Like I have learned something from. If I didn't have UFCM, UFCB, Interlight, I don't know where I would be in these 30 years. There's a potential that I would have been fired. Every day I went to work thinking I was going to get fired. And if I didn't, and I kept trying to, I was, do the right thing and make sure everything is on point. The church has been an anchor. It really has. It has allowed me to release. It has allowed me to trust more. Have faith. It has, and it's helped develop a calling. It has helped. It actually made space for the calling.
It was there. It was there.
Yeah, it was there. It was there, and I think it was cultivated. It was, as the old people would say. Oh God, what is it called? It was tilled in a sense where they massaged it. And I think that it was a location, it was an environment that allowed me to flower up.
Very nice.
Boom. Yeah. I had no intentions of being a preacher. Let me just say that. I had no intentions of being a preacher.
I was just about to go there. So,
I knew you were. I was waiting for it. Go on, Carla.
In the opening of the flower, in the blossom, in the call being in your belly and tealing, as you talked about, how did you get from there to now you sweating online talking about a phoenix and one of your key sermons that nobody will forget is built for the impact.
Built for impact. Signature.
Now, right. So little Catholic boy, now you sweating through your t-shirts. How we get there?
February 14th. I'll never forget it. I was out drinking with my friend Cedric, and we were talking about how we were, single on the day, and how, this Valentine's Day, and we're in this club and we're drinking and carrying on. And I was so drunk that I proceeded home. I lived in Hyattsville at the time, and the club was in DC off of K Street. And I in my head, the truck said ran out of gas. Like zero gallons to empty, and it stopped right there next to the gas station. I walked to the gas station. I buy the canister, put gas in, and I walk to the car. And in my head, I'm like, how am I going to put the gas in the car? How am I going to put the gas in this truck? Right? I had just bought the truck, and I pour the gas. I just turn the canister over. Now, obviously, it's been a long time since I ran out of gas because the funnel was inside. You just had to pull the funnel out or the stem and then put it in. But I didn't know that. So I dumped it, and it went all over my clothes, all over my shoe. Right? And so I just put enough in there to make it to the gas station, filled up the car. And I'm on my way home. And as you know, in February, it's cold. So I got the heat on. And mind you, I had leather shoes on and some slacks, and the gasoline is just all over my clothes. And, I turned the heat on. And next thing I know, I ran into a wall, a barrier on 295 that was probably about maybe not even a living room measurement in size of terms of length. And I remember saying to God, if you get me through this, you have me completely. That is it. And I woke up in bed at my home that next morning, and I called my mom. She came, and I had not gone outside to look at the car. And when she got there, we were talking. She was like, "Oh my God, how did you make it through?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And I go outside, and the entire car from the front to the rear was completely smashed in. Mind you, the barrier had only been but so big. It was anybody who rode on 295 between 198 and 197. Well, 193 and 190 and 197. There's a little ledge on the side, on the left-hand side, that's only about maybe 500 feet. And at that moment, I knew that I had to dedicate my life. I felt like that was, and so I'm in church and Inner Light, and they asked me to preach for a youth service. And I was like, okay, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. So I said, okay, God, but this is what I said. I joined the choir. I was committed because I made a promise. If you get me through this, I'm going to dedicate. This is what I'm going to do. I'll sing on that choir. I'll do whatever you call me to do. And I remember one night, God said, you know what? I want you to preach the word. And I said, yeah, okay. And Inner Light came and it said, we want you to preach your word. Kevin talks about it all the time. And so I went up there and I preached it. Mind you, at that time, I still didn't get it. I didn't get it until Harris Thomas. And I became a deacon and I dedicated myself to community service. And then I leveled up to ministry as a minister. And as you all know, I wasn't going to reverend, but
wait, no. I'm gonna let Pastor go. We are not bypassing that one.
Go ahead.
Got something to say. Okay, so
go ahead.
All right. So one, dude, WTF? If you get me through this, you have me completely. Wow. Right.
Airbags had gone off, glass had broken. I have no idea. I wish I had taken pictures, and my mom can contest this, and Janice, her wife, can contest to this. There is no way
that you should have.
I should have survived that.
I got you. I hear you.
I was drunk out of my and a lot of you have been out with me, so you know at the time how I used to drink. That was completely a catastrophe. There's no way that I should have walked away from that.
Yeah.
And I made it. The car was in my driveway.
Right.
I made it home.
No logical. No logical.
No, right. No logical reason.
Many folks have, and not only died, but been disfigured, not walked again, all of that. Yep.
And mind you, when I talk about gas being on your clothes, heat coming up, the fumes had made me so. Yeah. I actually got knocked out. Knocked out. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It was, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. Yeah. And that's when I said to myself that since this is what happened, then I need to dedicate my life to something. And that's what I did.
Wow. Call for purpose.
So when we talk about built from impact, I promise you that story was in me. We are built to endure. I'm going to preach.
He about to start sweating, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. You gonna start seeing a little sheen coming down. He can find. He don't need a text, so he can go. All right. So
very powerful.
So in Unity, the process our ministry is we start at there's a letter of intent from a layperson to a diaconate. And then as you progress forward, I only know to the reverend capacity, but there's a letter of intent that is required. So would you mind sharing with the people from your experience from being a minister and then going to reverend?
So I am, being in my agency, I have come to always fight against the norm. Like I'm the only Black man in the room. I always gotta hear my voice have to be heard. You gotta make your place. And I feel like people see you then. And so I was in a space with my people that I felt like there's no need for me to tell you what I can do or who I am or what God has called me to do. If you don't see it and if you don't believe it, then there's no, then that should be it, because you're the leadership, right? And so I'll never forget when Johnson, you and I were talking about it. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to write a letter of intent. Like, I feel like that's ridiculous. I feel like, why are we in a movement or in a denomination where you have to tell people that you're willing to move versus people seeing that you have a skill set and that you, and again, mind you, I'm constantly fighting against trying to level up at work, right? And so I'm a little burnt out. I'm like, I don't want to tell nobody. You see my work, like I'm frustrated because I didn't get the job here and I didn't get the job there, and I'm at the time I was just mad, and I was giving so much to my employer, like I was just constantly working, and then here they goes, like, well, we want you to tell us what you're doing. We want you to prove that you are able, and I was just not trying to hear it, so I didn't write a letter. And I did not, I did not elevate that year. And I was not going to ever put in a letter until you, Pastor Washington, said to me, but we need your voice in the room. So if you don't do this, then how can you get in the room? And it just clicked. It was like, oh shit, like that's so true. Like I'm about to, like that's
this after you called me a sellout, because I put him.
I'll tell you that I did call you a sellout because I just felt like I wanted people to see my value. Yes. And I didn't want to have to show you or prove to you that I value to be in that position. I felt like, and again, I'm not saying I had it right. It's just how I felt at that moment. But when Washington, Pastor, when you said to me, but we need you and your voice needs, how can your voice be in a room if you don't do this? And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then he said, do I need to write the letter for you? I was like, no, I don't want to. And so at a bar, wasn't it a bar?
It was at a restaurant. We just sit at the bar.
Okay, at a restaurant, sitting at the bar. I think we were waiting for a table. I wrote on a napkin my intent and gave it to him. So that's how I was able to elevate, ordain as a reverend. It was, I got it. Like so considering that this is the anniversary of I Have a Dream and the things that we must sacrifice to do, I was just sharing with someone about the sacrifice. I look back on that time and I can say that was the sacrifice, like pushing through and doing things you don't want to do for a greater cause in the future. So while there was a year where I was not in the room, okay, I don't know what could have happened if I had been in the room. And so there's a year of stuff that didn't happen that we'll never know. So I thank you, Pat. I always think about that. Like, what happens if your voice, and for all those that are looking, what happens if your voice is not in the room?
That's it.
It was that thing hit me. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, that makes sense. But
I'm glad the pastor could get to him.
That year ago.
I'm glad the pastor could get through to him, because nobody was getting through to him.
I would be still a minister.
Yep.
Still a minister.
Wow.
Well, and we all, again, it's so beautiful, so proud. We all have our process, and there was something, and what we might not know it at the moment, or we might in retrospect, but there was something that happened in that year. There was things that happened in that year in Reverend Johnson moving to Reverend, and and there was stuff like, oh, so what am I learning? What is going on? What does that mean for this to be the case and that to be the case and so on? And so just
that's
very powerful.
That's funny. Yeah. She would come back and say things. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say, but you didn't put in your letter of intent, man. Come on now, like this is what's going on. Yeah.
So, you know what I learned from that is to always push through for the opportunity.
Yeah.
To always be in the room. Like it is important for us to be in the room where people are making decisions, and that's what keep me encouraged, even at work and in all the things I do. Like push through it so that you're part of the conversation. You're part of the change.
Yeah.
Especially if you have an opinion.
Yes.
And everybody knows I have an opinion. So you know
everything.
Listen, yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes. So yes, Pastor Pendamon said, Pastor Washington is such a pastor. That is right. Because anybody could get that guy to put any kind of a letter.
Like, you should put your letter in, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. If you don't see my skill set and my gift to God, then or gift of how God wants me to speak to people, then I'm not doing it. And he didn't know what to do. And it was, I'll never forget it. He was like, but your voice isn't in the room. And I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And I know being a reverend is a lot different than what people would have ever imagined me to be.
That's right. Yeah.
Like from the way I talk to how to my behavior, to who's in my life, to how I show up in every I bet you that if people would see me now, they probably were like, "You're a reverend?" And you know what's interesting is I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I really am. Like, I don't need to be the same reverend that my uncle was.
Yeah.
I don't need to be the same pastor that my uncle was. My uncle, I have my dad's side of the family, they were the Baptists, always in church. And I remember being in our ministerial class and realizing that I'm just in a different lane. I'm just in a different lane. So I'm okay with that. Like, I feel like I'm okay. Yeah, with that.
Yeah, beautiful. Cool. We could get way biblical and talk about all of the ways that God called people that folks didn't think was going to be called, and use people in different ways, and the songs, you can use anything, Lord, you can use me, right? And that there's some folks who are going to hear and that do hear from Reverend Robinson that's not hearing from a Reverend Jamie, that hear from a Reverend Carla that's not hearing from a Reverend Pendamon. And God needs all of us, right? Uses all of us to speak to the diversity and the beauty of the human condition. We are getting close to time, and I'm trying to get now to some juices.
Well, we had already owned that we might go over time for this session. By all means, let's go over.
So I want to know. So you have all of these opportunities. You are very powerful in your own right, both in ministry and in your work life and your friend life and so on and so forth. I want to know what's the secret? What secrets do you have that you feel like you can tell the people? What's something people don't know about you? And I'm going to go there because I'm going to let you go where you feel comfortable to go. What's some of the fun secret stuff about Sean?
I don't know if there's anything that's a secret.
Okay, go.
What are the fun things about me? So here's one thing that a lot of people don't know. And I know that if I say this, there's probably a lot of people are probably gonna be like, what the? Like, I don't like to have to take control. Like, I do not need. There are moments where I do want people to to lead. Like, so that's one secret. I probably wouldn't. I don't know if that's a secret. I think people know that. Some people know that. Like I don't like to have to make all the decisions. I don't. So when you say what are some of my fun things, what do you mean? Like do you just name some?
Yes, wherever you want to go. What if pretend like this is a Match.com show.
Joy says she got something. I think you might want to take this before Joy starts calling out stuff. All right.
Match.com.
The people in Alabama want to know.
Right. What they got there?
What they got coming?
What's coming down? What's coming down to Alabama?
So I love to have a good time. That's the truth.
That's safe.
I love to socialize. I love to meet people. I am gifted to be able to be in any circle. I can engage anybody. I love karaoke. I love karaoke. Okay, so yes. So the big secret is that I am a superstar. The big secret is I love to sing karaoke. Like it is one of my favorite, and I'm sure if I ask Joy what my favorite song is, she'll be able to tell it. But karaoke is one of my favorite things. I don't know what Alabama is getting because, I got a reality check today. Today was the first day that I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to the South. And so I'm very outgoing. I'm very outspoken. I will call it what it is. I don't, I love crabs. I love to
like hard shell.
Yeah, like I love crabs. I love to be by the water. I love the jet ski. So all these things that I actually love, Alabama, Huntsville actually offers lakes that I can go jet skiing on. So I'm planning to buy a jet ski. I love to ride my motorcycle. I can't wait to ride the winding roads there. I am in love with step aerobics. If anyone haven't seen my step routine videos, please go to Fab Steppers on YouTube. I'm gonna miss that though. I think that's one of the things I'm gonna miss. As far as secrets is concerned, I love to cook. I love to entertain. As quiet as it's kept. And I love to travel. Yeah.
Very cool.
So as far as secrets, I don't know.
Yeah, well, those are great. Do
you know of any secrets?
No, those are great things.
Yeah,
like,
so to your point, I don't know that they're necessarily secrets, right? Yeah. But the cooking, to know of you would hashtag Fab Travel to know you is many people don't know that, right? But yeah, cooking, jet ski, so all of that stuff. I think if anybody's followed you on social media throughout one of your vacations, you pretty much know that. So what are your hopes for Alabama?
So that's a really good question, and as I said, I was watching the march on Washington today, and I had not actually looked at Jacob Blake video. I had not. I've been kind of like trying to stay away from a lot of media and a lot of that because I didn't want to get riled up about it. And so obviously they were talking about it today, and I was like, okay, let me go look at it. And I looked at it, and I think that's when the reality check came. Like, I'm a very outspoken man. I've already got a little taste of the red state. Showing up as bold and big as I am and confident, and how that had ended with the sale of the home that I was purchasing out there, and how that deterred and the man said that we're not going to work with you, and how that made me feel. And like I had to pay attention to the precautions that I have to take, and I have to be mindful of who I am. And that was the first time that it kind of hit me that that's where I'm going. And I'm not saying that would happen, but there's just little moments of, if you get in this situation, this is what we have to do, right? And how I have to pay attention to navigating the unknown stuff,
Okay.
or the stuff that is not as directed at me, and pay attention to my own trauma and how that would show up in responses, from how I react based on what people would say, even though that's not their intent. And so I shared this with Pastor the other day. Is like, I have to be mindful that even though people are saying things, like, I have to pay attention to what the intent. And Johnson, you and I talked about that today. So I'm registering things a lot differently, and I'm really, really overly sensitive right now, in terms of what I hear or what I intake. And it is definitely, it got me a little shaky today. Like, I was like a little weary, like, oh my God. So there was just a lot of stuff that just happened today. Like, I was in a car accident on Saturday. It totaled my car today. So I was like, the house that I'm buying, it was delayed because of the overwhelmness of COVID. So it was just a lot of stuff that is happening, that is causing me to respond. And so I have to check myself. It was a reality check today. So I don't know what Huntsville is going to get. I don't know. My hope is that I have y'all on speed dial.
So great segue. My next question was going to be, so what do you need from your community here? Like, so you have 32 people listening. I'm sure by, after this, it will shoot up that people will watch this. And so what's your ask of us?
Well, I want my friends to know that I'm not abandoning them, and that my friends and family. I think that when I first started announcing it, there was a lot of reaction of, I can't handle it. I don't want to talk about it. I can't believe this. What am I going to do? And I think that put me in a space of trying to figure out, well, what else should I tell people? So I stopped telling people. But I want people to know that, it's just an opportunity. And my connection, at least from my side, is never to be disconnected. Right. And we have technology. COVID has allowed us to prove that. I think that's very interesting, how this COVID has given us the opportunity to learn technology wise how to stay connected. The other thing is, as far as church is concerned, I don't want to be owned by any entity. Baltimore is my home. Baltimore is where I grow. It's where I'm invested in. And so, and I don't want Baltimore, Unity Fellowship Church of Baltimore, to believe that I'm leaving in a sense of never will be a part of. So that's what I need. And I think the other piece is, when I need people to say what they really mean, in terms of, if I'm going to come visit you, come visit. Or if there's something going on, invite me. Like, don't say, oh, he's in Alabama, he's never going to come. Like, I know what that feels like when you tell people that are only 2 hours away to come visit, and they don't come visit. So I'm never going to ask you, Sean, because you're always on the road, you're always traveling, and I didn't want to invite you to the wedding. Well, I want people to know try not to feel that way. Like invite me, because it's a 2-hour flight from here or to Philly. And so I'm excited in a poor part to start over, to start something new. I think 30 years was a long time in the DMV area. And I'm just ready for something different. I'm excited about getting immersed in the community effort out there. There's not a lot of people that look like me. And I have a lot to offer there. So I'm a little excited. So don't stake me in the ground, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, thank you. So you got some travel guests already. Pastor Pendamon, she's relatively close. She'll ride with you. Christy saying, she wish you well. She's not too far to travel. Joy, it's about the growth. We love you, and we will be just fine. So will you. So yeah, a lot of love. Cynthia, there. Embrace it. God's got your back. Greater things God has for you. Ken put it out there. Will there be a UFC Alabama?
I knew that was coming. Uh-huh.
So will there be a Unity Fellowship Church of Alabama? Let me just say this. I am not opposed to it, but I will promise you it won't look like I don't have it be limited. If that makes sense.
All right.
I don't there's a part of me that thinks that virtual services is the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think being virtual has allowed us to reach so many people, and it's not something that I'm thinking about right now, but it is. I have to be honest that it is something that keeps simmering in the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
That makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have it be that it may look like what we've seen already, like our church, other churches. It's just in me to believe that that may not be what I cultivate. I don't know.
Right.
I trust what's planned. And I trust that whatever is needed, that the resources will be sent. And what I do know that I do have a desire to share with the people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So beautiful, so powerful. And you will, right? We eyes have not seen, no, right? Eyes have not seen. And so I know that God does all things well, and we will see. We just stay open to what God has for us. And as you head to Alabama, you go with love and light, and we will be doing more official as we, as Reverend Rob makes this transition to physically move, and we will be honoring and celebrating, and he's not leaving us, and so he is going to still very much be a part of UFCB, and we'll see what's to come. We will see what is to come.
Well, let me ask you guys a couple questions.
Of course. He's the only guest that would decide to do that.
Right, right.
So tell me about your feelings surrounding the move.
Pastor. So, all right, I'll go.
How do you plan to support me?
So what's the question?
I don't know. What's your views on the move?
So my views on the move, I was one of the ones in the beginning that felt the abandonment immediately. While I'd known it was your interest because of the, your reasons were very valid in wanting to seek new opportunity. Thank you, Joy. Like I was, you're my big brother, right? And I am accustomed, if I could have you in the same house with me, and if we could have figured that out 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that's my ideal, right? Us just in a house together, all just happy. And so, I've gone through the abandonment, and, took on extra therapy sessions to get myself prepared to support you. Now I'm in a space where I've heard you. Right. I've heard the story of you needing to have your family and friends know that you're not abandoning them. Right. And so I had to check myself and stop being selfish. Right. And so lean in to, this is a really fucking good opportunity for my brother. And so I can't be selfish. Right. And I have to trust. As you and I talk, trust was planned, right? And so, yes, things will be different. I can't take the whole, things won't be different. No, they will be. You'll be in a different time zone, right? You will not be in Greenbelt. You won't be in Hanover. Even with COVID, without COVID, I can't just drive to you, right? And so, just being very what I know I haven't. We really haven't talked about it, right? We had like kind of a small conversation, and then, I cried the whole time, and so we didn't get anything conveyed. But, I am proud with you, right? And that you're deciding that you did not settle, right? And so that's where I am with it. I plan on supporting you during this pandemic as much as my wife allows me. So but when we get the green light, when we're safe, it is my it's my intention to to get to you as soon as I can, right? I tried not to be very extreme and tell Joy that we need to sell our house and move to Alabama. But, that very well was a conversation that we had one night. I'm sitting on the floor in a fetal position talking about where's my brother going. And, it was, Carla, do we need to move to Alabama? So, that I've been through the range of emotions. And I hear you when you say, not wanting to relive the trauma, right, of your previous experience. And so I know better, so I have to do better. And that's really where I've been in these last couple of weeks. I know better, so I have to do better. And I haven't, even with the conversation we had earlier, right? I am not accustomed to this Sean that's been in existence for the last couple of months. Right. And so I've had to take in what you've said and realize, you know what? And it was even after we got done on the video call today, my reflection was, okay, I can see how I am still wanting him to just operate in the norm that I know. Right. And just being able to take all of my shit during GChat and be able to just, we can figure it out. So I am proud. I am excited. I am wishing you all the greatness, right? So, we've talked about doing a lot of things together, ministry wise. And so, I want to continue to, that connection to continue, right? And so what I'm clear on is the hour, the distance, we gotta figure it out. Yeah. And so I'm committed to figuring it out, and I'm committed to being there to support you through this move. Yeah.
COVID has really made it difficult because I had no envision. I didn't plan on it being so disconnected. Yeah. So I had envisioned there to be moments of me to connect with people and to give them that opportunity for us to talk and so I get it. And I am committed to continue our relationship, and all the things that we talked about. I hate that I have not been available with the kids and you guys, because we talked about all of that, and I really miss them, and cutting up with Joy every Sunday. I feel you, and I want to make things as normal as possible too.
Yeah,
that's why I bought this big house.
Yeah.
So, I feel you, and I love you so much.
I love you too. I love you too.
So for those that don't know, and I know this is a big question, I have 3 brothers and I have 2 sisters. Okay? I want to be very clear about that. 3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yes. Who are the 2 sisters?
Angela and Carla. Angela is the woman that has I probably would have never been able to touch on releasing a limit on who I can love if it wasn't for her. I think that my mama played the part in that. I'm like, oh, I've been around, I can touch, let me taste that. But I think I never acted on it until Angela's like, come on and go to a party with me. But she's taught me a lot. She's the one that taught me not to wear harsh sole shoes or sneakers to a party. She was very clear to wear harsh sole shoes when you dress up to go to an event. So a lot of things that I learned from her in terms of how to be, and then Carla came along and just taught me how to have fun and love and work through all this stuff. And I probably wouldn't have been in therapy if it wasn't for Johnson. And so I'm grateful for those 2 women in my life, my mom, Janice, all of y'all. But those two sisters of mine, they're ride or die chicks. Like ride or die. Joy, sister, that's ride or die chick. Like if I ever, yeah, ride or die chick. I don't have to worry about a lot of trauma or a lot of fighting in Alabama because I know that there's a lot of people that have a lot of, that will come. Yeah, those are ride or die chicks. Those women are essential in my life.
Absolutely.
So
I am not going to say a whole lot because we do have another program tonight. Still, and I just want to say that I trust God and feel good. And you'll hear more as we navigate, whatever kinds of celebrations and transition parties we have for you. But you are central to not only the ministry but to me, and I know the space. I know the space of making the decision to move, and I know what it is to have great people. You can't keep everybody great around you all the time. It's just not. That's just not how it works. People got to go and spread their wings and do other things, and they deserve places to have God use them in expansive ways. And so, yes, there is the individual personal sense of, I don't want my brother to go. Yeah, that's very real. And we know better than that. And we know I've got friends all over, and I know that just because we don't see each other or are not together in the same way doesn't take away from love that's this strong.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And we can get back together in 6 to 8 or 12 months and it'd be just like it was yesterday. And so it's just, the love is too strong for it to do damage. It's just too strong and too real. So, yeah. And so as Reverend Johnson said, yes, things will be different. There's no way for them not to be different. It's not going to be the same. And we're all going to be all right. We're going to be better than all right. I'm calling in thriving and new and exciting things. Can't wait to visit Huntsville. I've never been there. And I can't even remember. And there's great stuff in Alabama. So I don't want people to think that we're painting a picture of Alabama and the South is all horrible. There are different dynamics and ways that we have that we'll navigate, but you're going down to some great civil rights, strong histories, and lots of great stuff. So,
just to give y'all just a little taste of what Huntsville is a dynamic considered to be more like DC. It's where people migrate to. It's not like there's a lot of people that are born there, and the Army base is there, which is where we've consumed a lot of square footage of. NASA is there. It's the city that has the most PhDs, that's why they call the smart city, which is really interesting. So I plan to meet some smart people. But it's a very technology engineering environment. So everything is I never saw a cotton field until I went there, but I'll work with that because there are cotton fields still there. But it's a place where a mixing bowl. And so it's very diverse. I'm excited about it. And there's a lot of things that I want to open up. There's a lot of things that I want to do. So I think this is a great opportunity. So we should see. Shout outs to my best friend Keith, who's always been there to support me in everything that I do. Like now, if y'all wanted to know some secrets, that's probably.
Well, I can think of some secrets too, but I'm not gonna put you out there. And I'm glad Keith.
I'm okay with people knowing, but
okay. Keith has,
We might need to do a refill with the best friends.
Wonderful. Good. Thank you so much, Sean, for being transparent, for being open and honest, for sharing your experience with us. Just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. And I love y'all for the support. And I wouldn't be able to do this without y'all.
Yes. Amen. So good stuff. We are, the Good Baptist in me wants to close in prayer, but we're over time and we got a movie and I don't know how y'all doing it. So we pray you well, Godspeed, all that good stuff.
And before I leave on September 12th. September 26th is the day that I'm actually transferring or transitioning out there. I start work October 12th, but I'm going to go down a couple weeks early. So yeah,
more to come. More to come. So I don't know who's going to give direction for. Are we cutting this? Starting the movie? How?
So what's going to happen is we're going to stop this for all those that are invited. There's the Zoom link that you can click on. And so I'll meet you all on the other side. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Mother Gloria, we love you.
We love all of you.
Good to see you. Take good care.
My biggest cheerleader is my mom.
All right.
All right.
She's another one.
Thank you, Reverend Johnson, for doing it with me.
Catch the kiss. Catch the kiss.
Catch the kiss. All right.
Yeah, this is your first time hosting.
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Call me Oprah Winfrey.
Well, good. We'll have to have you more and more often.
All right. Bye-bye.